Okay, so today we're going to actually start shading our portraits or our self-portraits, and we're going to use the range of values that I have here. In order to show form or three-dimensionality, you have to use a range of values, and you have to have a nice smooth transition. So this is actually a portrait that was done by Damali Miller, and I'm going to shade it with the thinking that the light source is coming from above. So the light source is coming from above. So if I had a person here, the light source would be coming from above, and I'm going to shade it as such. Now, the best thing to do is to actually look at the person, because a lot of the information is on the person. That's the only way to really tell exactly if your values that you're using are correct. But since I'm doing this as a demo for my students, I'm just going to show you basically where the darks are and the lights and the medium values are. If I'm looking from if the light source is coming from above. So the first thing I'll do is I'll identify where the darks are, and since this is away from the light, this area is going to be darker. If it's away from the light, it's going to be darker. For example, like under the eyes would be darker because it goes inward. If you touch your face, your eye socket, you can put the camera in front of me, believe it or not. If you touch actually inside here, it goes inward. And because it goes inward, that means the light is not hitting as much. Another area is going to be dark is underneath your neck because the light is hiding from your neck. In other words, it's creating a shadow. So put it back on the portrait. So I'm going to start shading. I'm going to use the side. Okay, as I'm getting closer to, I'm getting away from the edge, I'm getting a little lighter. I'm actually going to smudge it a little bit, and I'm smudging in this direction. And I'm shading it like I shaded that apple. I'm shading in the circle away to show form, like, because the face it has a curve to it, so I'm shading in that direction. Now I'm going to shade underneath the eyes because it's really dark because it's inward, doesn't extend out. And I know from looking at many portraits and drawing many people that it gets dark and it gets a little lighter here. Okay, and I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to try doing the nose. I'm actually using the tip, not the side. And as you notice, my shading, when I shade, they're really close together, the lines. So it creates a shape. The shade itself creates a shape almost. No, I need a little more. Okay, I'm going to smudge it a little bit going up. Direction of that chin. And do the other side. I have to adjust my pencil a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna have to move the paper a little bit just to do this. I'm using actually the side this time a little bit. Nose is starting to come out a little bit. Good. Okay, so I'm still shading the side. I have to do the other side. I'm using the tip. gotta slow down a little bit. I'm rushing it. I can tell because the way I shaded that's much smoother than the way I shaded this. You notice I'm adjusting the angle, the way I'm shading. I'm actually moving my hands around. Okay, so this nose, there's a lighter value on this nose. It's actually around here, and it's circular because there's that little bump in the middle. If you feel the bump, actually there's a little bump right here, if you feel it. So I'm actually doing that in a circular motion, just to show that. Okay, I'm gonna actually, because the nose goes outward, it's gonna be a highlight, but for now I'm just gonna shade it in the same value. Now underneath my nose, there's this weird looking thing here, and it's really dark in the center. Okay, my lips. Since the lip on top, if you feel the lip on top, it doesn't come out. Like this is straight. This comes outward, and if it comes outward, that means it's gonna be a highlight or it's gonna be a lighter value. So I'm going to be aware of that as I'm shading my lips. And I'm actually going to darken this a little bit. I'm going to use this side. I just want you to notice that when I'm shading this face, it's not the same value across. I'm just not doing this because you won't be able to show form if you just do one type of value. You have to have several different values. And the little details. This is lighter. So I'm going to shade it this way. Okay. I'm not ready for my highlights yet. I'm still trying to find the darks. This goes inward, it's a little darker. Goes inward is a little darker. Okay. This is darker on the corner. And of course the nostrils inside is much darker. Okay, I'm going to move to the chin. Now I just want to mention that you can actually layer another value on top if you feel like it's not dark enough, or if you want to blend two values together, just smudge it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to move to the chin. There's another ball here on the chin, on the bottom of your chin. If you feel it, it's circular. So I want to show that. So I'm just going to draw a circular line a little bit. And I'm going to transform that line into a shade. And under here, there's another darker valley. Okay, so I'm going to move on a little bit. On your forehead, there's three parts. If you feel it, there's the side and there's the front. Now, since the side is away from the light, it's going to be darker. The front, unless you have bangs like me, is going to be a lot lighter. If you have bangs, of course, it's going to be darker because the bangs itself, the hair, is creating a shadow underneath. But since this portrait of this person doesn't have bangs or hair in the front, the side, like I said, is going to be much darker. Wait, I started too fast from here. Smudge it a little bit just to... Okay. To the other side. I have to be careful since I'm rushing it. It's a little harder to give that slow transition. But when you actually start shading your portrait, you have to slow down a little bit more than me. still using the tip. I'm not using the side. Okay, I want this to be a little lighter value, so I'm not pressing as hard. Okay. Alright, so far it's looking pretty good. So the hair is actually, you have parts that are lighter, which if it's closer to the light on top, you're going to have a highlight. Now, there's areas that are darker. In other words, the whole hair should not be this value. You should have some lighter values or at least highlights in there. So since I know that this on the side is going to have less light, so I'm just going to... Ideally, if you look at the mirror, drawing from observation, you can see more where the lights and the darks are. So I'm going to change the value a little bit because it's closer to the light up here. You're going to have some darks. I'm using pressure. I'm pressing down on it as I'm shading. I'll use this side. So if you notice, I didn't use the side of the pencil for everything. I used it for, I picked and chose where I needed it. Okay, underneath the neck, of course, it's going to be a darker value. Oh, my portrait's starting to have some form. Corners are darker. Okay, now your ears, of course, you know the ears have a darker value. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I just want to show you some highlights. But before I do some highlights, I got to check to see if I have... See, maybe I should get a little darker. It starts dark like around here. And it gets a little lighter. So it's a transition, it's a slow change. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm using my value scale to make sure I have all the different values and I have them in the right place. Now, before I move on to my highlights, I just want to darken this in a little bit. Take a look back. Okay, so I'm going to, usually the highlights, as I said, since the light is coming from the top, it's going to be, for example, the forehead in the front, like I've already mentioned to you. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase a little bit of that shading that I have. But let me mention something. The highlight has a shape to it. It's not just any which way. I'm actually giving this highlight has a shape to it. So I'm not sure if you're noticing the shape I'm having here. On the bridge of the nose is another highlight. This in the ball there's another highlight. There's usually a highlight on your lips and chin, and even my eyelids. It's a little highlight, and maybe in my... Anyway, so there's still a lot more values I can do. Like I need to do inside my eyes. I need to do my actual sweater or the turtleneck that this person actually is wearing. This is a little lighter. And there's a lot more you can do, but because of time, I'm going to stop there. I just want to show you one that I almost finished. I'm not completely done. I'm not completely finished with it, but it's a work in progress. So as you can see. Okay, I have my highlights there. My darks, my mid values. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today and at least learning how to show form by using a range of values by shading in a circle of motion. So thank you so much.